trickled into many departments, creating chaos and stress to those left behind. Please consider your no replacing coaches rule so GATE can function properly as it has for so many years. Remember, GATE is a program that's been supported for over 30 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Anyone else wishing to speak? Oh, Michelle.
Good evening.
Connie.
As Connie pointed out, the issue with GATE coaches, I would remind the board with the MOU that any kind of master teacher, teacher specialist will not be in place this coming year to start the year off. So any teachers who need help are at a new grade level, are on a PIP. Most of those are written to consult with a coach. And that is a vital role to support our classroom teachers in new curriculum, old curriculum, or just best practices. So we do know that we are losing quite a few across the board. So I think the GATE issue, we're well informed of tonight with Connie's words, and I would also take note of the other departments that we have missing teachers and those resigning and leaving.
Thank you, Michelle. Any other comments? I was waiting on you because you were going back to your seat.
Sorry. You'll see me later.
I have a comment.
All right. Yes.
I would like to give my solid endorsement to what both speakers spoke of, the custodial issue or lack of at Turner Academy, at Tokay Colony, as well as Dorothy Mann. Those sites especially need daytime custodial care. So thank you so much for calling that to our attention. And the GATE coaches, I was hoping it would not come to this. I, for one, place a very high value on all our instructional coaches to begin with, and we need these two GATE coaches especially. I'm not exactly sure, as Connie talked to us, there's no way that Connie and her staff can handle all that work that the GATE instructional coaches were doing, which is vast, and really the underpinning of the entire GATE and advanced placement program. So that needs to happen. We need to hire those two positions. They're funded, for heaven's sake. We need to hire and fill in for those positions immediately. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
As everybody knows that's heard me before about the LCAP, I'm a huge supporter that we need to increase our custodial staff as best we can. It is a health and safety issue to a large extent. In my previous work, I was an infectious control officer, and I know exactly what you're talking about when it comes to the body fluids. It's not just something to take blood of. It is very serious. So thank you for your words on that. Also, I'd like to support what Ms. Castle said, is that here we have the GATE coaches positions funded already in the LCAP. So I think for me, it's kind of a no-brainer that we should actually step forward and fill those positions, because our GATE program in our district, what Ms. Siffendorfer said was absolutely true. A lot of districts use us as an example of what they can do to improve their GATE programs by looking at what we do. And unfortunately, we don't want to not have them call anymore because we've dismantled it. I am in total support of filling those two positions, especially with the funding there and the need that is there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Edwards. Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, close that public hearing. We have another public hearing. This time is on the 2018-19 budget adoption, and we will open that public hearing. Any comments from the board on the 2018-19 budget adoption? Seeing none. Any comments from the audience on the 2018-19 budget adoption? Seeing none, we will close that public hearing. And then we will declare our final public meeting open. And that is for the spending determination with respect to fiscal year 2018-19 monies received from the Education Protection Account EPA. Not the EPA that Scott Pruitt has, but our own little EPA. Okay? Any comments from the board? Seeing none. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, we will close that public hearing as well. Superintendent's report, Dr. Washer.
Thank you, Mr. Neely, members of the board. We had an exciting graduation week. Thank you to all who participated. Want to recognize the schools for fantastic ceremonies and extra credit to those who put them on. Oftentimes it is the school secretary, principal secretary who does a lot of that. Maintenance staff, custodial crews also help a great deal. So thank you to everyone who helped with the planning. I want to give you some numbers. We had 1,885 graduates this season. Bear Creek had 417, Lodi High 431, McNair had 369, Tokay was the largest group with 437 graduates. Middle College had 57, and as you know, many of them graduated also with 1 or more AA degrees. Independence High School had 63, Liberty 63, and Plaza 45. So those are impressive numbers, and congratulations to all our school sites for their ceremonies. As you know, Elkhorn has been named a distinguished school. They went and received their award, so this is a picture with our state superintendent and our Elkhorn staff getting recognized for being a distinguished school. Congratulations again to them. We also have a picture for you of a parent ESL class at Oakwood. I know that some of you have gone to see that class in action, and it's quite exciting. If you haven't seen it next year, you may want to go take a look. The parents are engaged in learning English, which, as you know, helps their children with schoolwork as well. So thank you very much to Oakwood School for continuing that program. And we have another picture for you. This is our FLIP program. This is a Got Kids program in conjunction with the Lodi Memorial Hospital Foundation. We received a grant from the Community Partnership San Joaquin, and the children at 2 of our sites learned about fitness, nutrition, good practices, and also life skills such as being positive, how to handle challenges, how to be a good sibling, a good daughter or son, how to work with others. These are the shirts that they received. The children had a great time learning about good lifestyle and healthy lifestyle. This was done, we did it as an after-school program, and we're hoping we have 2 more schools in the fall. Washington and Lawrence will receive the program, and we're hoping to be able to expand it, looking for more grant funding so that we could provide this opportunity to more students. So this is a successful Got Kids program in conjunction with many community partnerships.
Before you move on the FLIP program there, it was at the Got Kids board meeting the other night, and it was amazing. The Lodi Hospital was there, Adventist Health was there, and they were extremely positive on this program and looked to expand the program. So, and kudos to Dr. Washer's office for putting everything together on that. It was kind of labor-intensive project this time, so maybe as we move along and things will get a little bit more streamlined, you don't have to put quite so much work into it.
First time's always the challenge.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for that. Anything else?
Thank you.
All right. Okay, moving right along. We are up to the comments for the public. I do have 13 papers up here, which means that after this 13, after I'm done with green sheets, we're going to cut it off. So if anybody else wants to speak, you need to get the green sheet up here right away. All right. because we have that, we only allot 20 minutes, but because we have 13, I'm going to go ahead and say we'll do 2 minutes apiece. That'll be 26 minutes. So we'll go over time, but that'll give everybody a chance to speak on it. We have several different issues here.
Did you say 3 minutes or 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes, 13 people. My Common Core math skills work out for me. That's 26 minutes.
Financial plot.
That's it.
Yeah, show your work.
All right. We have a couple of different topics tonight. Connie, you're number 1 here. Do you want to speak again? Connie?
No, I didn't realize that I was part of it. I'm good.
You're good. Thank you, Connie. Appreciate it. By the way, I went out to Elkhorn and met with Connie. I'm going to tell you what, you're not going to find anybody more passionate about a program and helping kids than Connie. She just does an excellent job out there, and thank you so much for everything you do for our kids. So I just pick up your feedback. All right. Next we have Janet. Is that Ford? Is that a D on the end of that?
Yes.
Ford, okay. Janet Ford here to talk Bear Creek FFA program.
Good evening, Board Superintendent. Thank you for the 2 minutes this evening.
Can you pull it down a little bit? I'm sorry, I'm really hard to hear.
Well, I have a loud voice, so I don't want it to be
Turn it
too
up.
loud.
Go for it.
Okay. So I came to you a year ago about the Bear Creek FFA program. My daughter graduated in 2017, spent 4 years in the FFA program, has gone on to Chico to study their ag education program, which I'm happy to say is in the top 5 schools to attend for ag education. I also have a soon-to-be junior at Bear Creek High School and a soon-to-be 5th grader at Julia Morgan. I call your attention to this because, as you see tonight, we have all the equipment that we need to have a successful board meeting. Unfortunately, this program does not have all the equipment it needs to have a successful program. We have no electricity out of the farm. We lost last week 3 turkeys and 3 chickens. My daughter and another student found them dead in their pen. Another one, as they're carrying it to the classroom, died in her arms. Never experienced something like this before. And if you have not seen an animal pass away, it's just like a human being. And I say this because I experienced it myself last year when my daughter Julia, who will be a junior, raised rabbits at our home because we didn't have the right equipment to have them at school. And our family witnessed 3 pass away, and I have lost both my parents. And we have the hospice program, so I witnessed this myself. So I'm asking you, and I'm not asking you as a parent that's just coming to the board to do nothing. I have volunteered several hours, hundreds of dollars of my own money. We just had a drive-through dinner that I put up a lot of my own money for. Our community center at Spanos Park East donated their community center so we could have a drive-through dinner. We raised $3,500 profit. We have had several days of volunteer working at the farm where my husband has taken off work, I have taken off work, where my 10-year-old daughter has come and helped because we want this program to be successful. And we want it to be successful because as some of our kids, when they're born and when they start going to school, they know exactly what they want to do. My oldest daughter did not. And
Why
if
do you have
she,
to wrap it up here?
okay, and if she did not have this program, she may not be at Chico State. We need electricity, we need security cameras, we need a farm. Right now, we are in a very small triangle area behind the football field. I ask you to look at the old soccer field at Bear Creek High School and give us the tools that we need to have a successful program.
Thank you, Bob. Okay,
Thank you.
Janet. Thank you very much. Next we have Darcy, and I'm sorry I can't,
All tied.
is that, okay, all right. All right. Also Bear Creek FAA program.
And I'm going to read fast.
Okay, Darcy, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Okay, so
So President Ely, Board, and Superintendent Washer. My name is Darcy Alteig. I'm a teacher at Bear Creek High School, and more importantly tonight, I'm a parent of a 2019 incoming senior. Her name is Alexis Alteig, and she's served as treasurer, vice president, president, and now secretary for the Bear Creek FFA program. I have a 20-year-old daughter that graduated from Bear Creek, and she was also part of the FFA program for 4 years. Alexis has been greatly impacted by the FFA program and its teachers at Bear Creek. She was a student in 8th grade. She threw up in the hallway trying to give a speech in history. I will never forget it, and she was crying terribly. She purposely signed up for speaking competitions through FFA to get past her fear. This past year, she has had the opportunity of being one in the three students to place in the section speaking competition, and she was the very first student to represent Bear Creek's FFA at the regional level. She has attended several leadership conferences, worked to earn money for the Stockton Animal Shelter, donated a nonprofit, other groups. We started a junior program that we did a day for Julia Morgan, and she has worked her way through it, and now she's raising a lamb, and she's going to the San Joaquin County Fair to show it. The FFA program at Bear Creek has had a slow start. It's finally becoming competitive with other FFA programs in our valley. It's taken 5 years to build our program, and we would like to keep building it and improve and give our students more opportunity in the community. Our students, unlike our sister schools, Lodi High and Tokay, are relatively new to FFA. Most of our students live within city limits, unlike a lot of the other students at the other participating schools. I myself rent my home and I'm not able to have animals at my home. If Alexis could not keep her lamb at FFA farm, she would not have the opportunity. She expressed a desire to do a breeding program with meat rabbits to earn her state degree, but we can't do that at this time because we have no electricity or anything. I've given you all the background to say to you tonight. In recent years, we've had administration turnover, had custodial turnover. It's made planning extremely difficult at our site. We've gone to administration and custodial staff to try to get electrical for 3 years now. Okay. I want to say the baseball program has electrical out at their field, which is directly across from ours. The football has electrical, which is 25 feet from our farm. They've told us that we have to move our farm if we want permanent electrical. Our frustration is the fact that we cannot even get an answer as to when, how, who said what, and what we need to do.
You've made a good point. You made a good argument.
We're frustrated.
Thank you. I do have to tell everybody, I cannot, the board cannot comment on anything that's said here tonight. This is a non-agenda item that's due to the Brown Act, not anything from the board. Each public speaker shall limit their comments to 2 minutes, but is welcome to distribute materials to the board due to restrictions imposed by the California Brown Act regarding discussing topics that are not on the agenda. Board members may not engage in dialogue on the issue, and I apologize for that, but that's the law. All right. Darcy, thank you very much. The next one is Kathy Peters. Kathy is going to talk about the reassignment of VP there at Larson, I believe. That's your subject, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I wasn't planning to go first.
Just one.
Good evening, President Neely, members of the board, and Dr. Washer, members of the community of Lodi Unified School District as well. Tonight we are here to plead for the retention of Ms. Russiger as the vice principal at Larson Elementary. Ms. Russiger is an integral part of our school. We are at the cusp of reinventing Larson in the image of the Ron Clark Academy in Atlanta, Georgia. Mrs. Maldonado and Mrs. Russiger have spent over a year planning, training teachers, and implementing the programs that will be beginning just next month. Mrs. Russiger has been a leader in this reinvention, and it will be a detriment to our school to lose her now. We understand that the district policy has been to move principals around to different schools. I've been at Larson for 12 years, and we have 5 different vice principals during that time. We understand that there are legitimate reasons for doing this, but not this time, not right now. I don't believe that the district would enlist a principal and a vice principal to imagine, develop, plan, and build a new school, and then take away one of those leaders a month before the school's doors open. That is essentially what is happening here. Larson's PTO, the Lodi community, and the district has spent tens of thousands of dollars to train and help implement this Ron Clark model at Larson. 17 of our teachers and staff, including Mrs. Ressiger, have traveled to Georgia for training and spent hours recreating Larson in the image of the Ron Clark Academy. We are now about to begin our flagship year. We need Mrs. Ressiger. She is an irreplaceable piece in the implementation of our new programs. As much as we would love to have Mrs. Ressiger for many, many years to come, we understand that this may not be possible, but please, we are asking for just one more year. Please allow Mrs. Ressiger to stay at Larson as we open the doors to the reinvention of our new school. Thank you.
Well spoken for the first one to come up. Is it Mally? Malai?
I don't want to be here by myself.
No, it can only be one of you at a time. No, I'm kidding.
I'll be here. Then you come stand behind me because. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Do we need anybody else?
This is my partner.
Thank you guys for all coming out tonight. We really do appreciate that.
Don't
Deep
stop my
breath.
time. Good evening, President Neely, members of the board, and Dr. Washer. Thank you for this opportunity for me to speak. My name is Malaya Riley. I am a parent of a 5th grader and a teacher at Larson Elementary. I have taught here at Lodi Unified for 22 years. I am here to express my deep concern regarding the removal of our beloved Vice Principal, Lori Ressiger. I am not here because she asked me to speak on her behalf. I am here because I cannot imagine Larson without Lori. It wasn't even in our radar that there was even a sliver of possibility that she wasn't going to be here next year to launch our Ron Clark Academy House Family System. After all, the district has already so generously invested $23,000 needed to send Lori to Atlanta where she was trained with 17 other teachers. I'm sorry, $2,300. The district has spent $39,100 in total to train 17 teachers. This was unprecedented. This has never happened in my 22 years of service. Our extraordinary PTO is in full support and is committed to provide funding for the remaining 12 teachers. They will be raising $27,600 more for this to happen. You see all these people before me fighting for Lori because we need her here. We know that Lori will be fine wherever she lands because that's who she is. But we, Larson, we will not be fine without her. As a teacher and a parent, I will tell you the answer is a resounding no. Anyone who has authority can tell us what to do because we are obligated to follow. But it takes a true leader to inspire us to want to do. Look at us, we're all here we're on vacation and yet we're all here. Most of us are petrified speaking in front of this panel, but, like me. But Lori and Leslie inspire us to dig deep in our courage to speak for the sake of our children. And yes, for my own personal benefit as well, because I haven't been this excited about going back to school since never. This past year has been magic. I can honestly say that I truly love my job because I have the 2 best administrators. Together they are a formidable force for the good of Larson. Larson has gone through a transformation. The classrooms are filled with excitement. Veteran teachers are falling apart in a good way during our staff meetings because they are overcome with emotion. My partner teacher back here came back from the academy. She was standing on the table while she was teaching. It was electric. So therefore, I started standing on tables when I was teaching. Most of us are dumbfounded that this is even happening, that we're going to be losing Lori. Some of us were in tears. It felt like a sharp needle popped our bubble of magic and hope. This reminds me of Theodore Roosevelt's quote. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again because there is no effort without errors, shortcomings, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. Larson needs Lori to continue daring greatly with us as our new adventure, to revolutionize our teaching for our sake and for our children's sake. I ask that you dare greatly with us as well.
Thank you.
Let's
Is that Suzanne? Is it Hill?
Helen, yeah.
Okay, you're up. And you're talking about the Bear Creek Ag Trailer / Ag Shop.
Correct. President Ely, Lodi Unified School Board, and Superintendent Washer. Our program, my name is Suzanne Hillen. I'm one of 3 agriculture instructors at Bear Creek High School. Our program was started in 2012 by Tiffany, my teaching partner, Tiffany Herringer. And we've since been building our program and opportunities for our students. 2 people before me spoke about the electricity. That's only one of 3 problems that we're having right now. Another problem is one of our trailers, our livestock trailer, was purchased in 2015-16. It is still not registered. I am driving it illegally. This has been something that I have been trying to get done, and I keep getting ran around. I was told to go to the DMV and register it. I don't own it. I don't have the title. Last time I heard, they cannot find the title right now. We go to AgFest next week. Our welding shop was also supposed to be finished in August of 2016. It's not finished. No one can tell me a time frame at this moment. Yeah, they started working on it again. I don't know when it's going to be finished. We have somebody that we hired to teach that class next year. Going back to the electricity and things not being registered, we do have a generator to get us through this next week until AgFest, since we have had some unfortunate deaths of our animals because of heat, having to move them into my classroom. The first generator they brought out did not work. So on a Saturday, I was calling Matt Stokes, our person at Bear Creek, and then they finally were able to send somebody out and get us a second generator, and we got that going. But as I watched him drive away with that first generator, that too was not up to date with its registration. It was last registered in 2015. So another district employee driving something illegally. I'm tired. Us as ag teachers pour our hearts and soul into our programs, not just at Bear Creek, but at all the other schools. And to not get the support and to get what we need to do the job is exhausting. I want my students to have everything that they need to be successful. Thank you for your time.
Lana Gentry, also from Bear Creek. Hi, Lana.
Hi there. Good evening, school board and Dr. Washer. I'm Lana Gentry. I'm here as a parent and then a teacher. My son Jack is a freshman at Bear Creek High School, and he saw Mrs. Helm's presentation at Kristen McCullough, and he was like, I want to raise animals. I want to take ag. And I was like, okay. I grew up in Lodi, but I'm still kind of a city girl, so that was a new thing for us. He loves it. Mrs. Helen and the ag program at Bear Creek High School is just above and beyond the hours that she puts in there, and how much fun that my son's coming home with their new book and wanting to read it to me. You don't usually get that and all the different ag jobs and everything that are available. So it's an awesome program, and I'd like to see it equally funded in comparison to the other high schools. That ag mechanics room, that's right around the corner from where my classroom is, and it's been empty for 2 years. They hired a teacher to teach it, but with no shop, what could she do? And to have rooms empty on any school campus, especially ours, when teachers are rotating around and sharing, that's a digression, but that's just sinful to me in the first place to have an empty room. Secondly, we do a grape mural this year. And I'm looking at Tokay and Lodi and they're big and all their stuff. I'm like, hey, we have a little small place, but we don't have access to grapes. Tokay has vineyards on their campus. Why can't we? The same thing with the farm. Tokay's getting a new one built right now. Why don't we have one? If we're going to say ag is the future, and it is, it's San Joaquin County, ag and the jobs are important, and they're good paying jobs. I mean, I know students who've done the ag mechanics at Lodi High, and they have good paying jobs. We need the same thing in Stockton for those students also. And so, equal funding, I've lost my track for a second here, but the farm, because we have the largest campus by square acreage, so there's no reason that we can't be growing grapes out there in addition to a farm for the animals. And my son, some of those chickens were his that died, and it's inhumane to have animals out there dying because of a lack of electricity.
Great, Donna. Thank you very much. Jillian Burford. Vice Principal reassignment.
Hello, Board of Education. My name is Jillian Burford, and I've been a parent at Larson Elementary for the past 8 years. I've also been on the board for our PTA for many, many years. But really, in the last 2 years, I've not been as present with the PTA. And I've actually been watching Mrs. Ruggier, I would say, more from afar, because I work full-time now and not on campus as much. But with that said, when I did hear about the reassignment for her, I felt a need to come and speak. I felt a need to write a letter, because we have seen so many changes when it comes to our administration. When I arrived, it was Mrs. Nillmeyer, who I'm sure all of you know, and what a powerhouse that she is. That was the year that she was retiring when I arrived to the school. And since then, really, the only other vice principal that I can even remember the name is Mrs. Maldonado, who now obviously is our principal. She has been fantastic. She has been a great leader, and now she has her partner. If we want to call her a partner in crime, we can do that, because they are doing a fantastic job on our campus. What I want to say is, as a parent, you truly, truly hope that the leaders that you have build the community and the culture for a school or for a workplace. And that is what these two have done. I don't know a lot about the changes that are going to happen on campus next year, and I know that some have said a plea to keep her 1 more year. I would say, why do we need to even mess that up? They are doing a fantastic job. I don't see the need for a vice principal to be shifted around. When you have a team that is growing and building a foundation for a school, you should keep it that way if everyone wants to stay. And that's how I see it as a parent, and I could be naive for that, but I think that that is truly important. We say that it takes growth. Things take time in education for children, for teachers, for administration. And it's very difficult when you see a change happening about every 2 years on a campus. So I would say, as a simple parent that feels strongly about their school, that we truly, truly hope that you reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Vice Principal reassignment.
You repeat the name? Oh. Repeat the name.
Repeat the name.
Caitlin Harris, student from Larson. Don't let them jump in front of you. Come on.
She's a former teacher.
Okay, so which one's Caitlin?
Me.
All right.
Good evening, President Neely and members of the board and Dr. Washer. This will be the 4th VP in 6 years, and this is the first one most students have trusted and liked. She knows all students, personable, she's kind.
Thank you.
And we've had many vice presidents, and this one shines the brightest.
She also, but the first year she came to Larson, she introduced herself to the parents and the teachers and the students at open house, and I feel that she needs to stay at Larson for at least like 1 more year, because all the students really enjoy having this vice principal, and I don't know, she comes to our classrooms and then she's just so fun and energetic, so I feel that she needs to stay.
What was your name? What is your name, not what was your name?
Olivia Garcia.
Say it again, please.
Olivia Garcia.
Olivia, thank you very much. Christopher Fund, VP reassignment. Number 10 on the parade.
That was a former student that tried to cut off there. Just happened. All right, board. So 1 year ago, Larson started on a project to increase student engagement and student achievement. That is so important to us, and that is what this is all about tonight. 13 years now into Larson, It's like we're opening a new school all over again. I've been part of opening 3 schools in Lodi Unified. We opened Needham for 1 year as an overflow to Park Lane. We opened Wagner Holt, which I was at for 16 years, and now Larson. So I've seen schools come together and form. But now 13 years in, it's like we're doing it again, and it's even more cohesive because it includes the administration, it includes all the teachers, and all the parents coming onto the same page. I've never seen that in my 29 years of teaching. It's amazing and it's exciting to be part of. We're planning on implementing it after a year's worth of work on this, including teachers meeting every Friday after school for 2 hours on a Friday. So I've seen many administrators come and go in my time, principals, vice principals, and I've loved many of them, but I've never come and spoken at the board because that's not what this is about. This is about what we're trying to do at Larson for the educating of students. And what we know is that Lori Ressiger is, as our VP, is a vital part. She's trained, she's invested, and she's an essential leader. And we need her to open this up. We need her this first year. It would be just such a waste to lose half the leadership going into this and that enthusiasm. So I'm asking you to really rethink this decision for 1 more year, and then we want you to come see this amazing magic that's going to happen. We want every one of you.
Thank you.
And please Google Ron Clark Academy tonight.
Thank you.
Watch and see what that's
about. Stephanie Mullins, VP reassignment.
Good evening, President Neely, the board members, Dr. Washer. I'm here on behalf of the students of Larson. I am the board member for 8 years on the Larson PTO, and I am next year's PTO president. I'm here to say that as a parent who has seen Lori for hours and hours around the students, she is the only VP who has ever been there who knows the parents, who knows the students, who takes the time to even leave her office. She is somebody who has been pivotal in creating the atmosphere that is there today and is hopefully going to be there next year. As a PTO member, we have worked extremely hard fundraising for the Ron Clark Academy and to send the rest of the staff for Larson to the Ron Clark Academy for next year. We approved almost $30,000 to send the rest of our group because we believe in the program and we believe in Lori. We understand that sometimes VPs and principals need to move around, and that's not what we're asking. We're asking is why. Why is she being moved at this time? She's already been with a Title I and a non-Title I. She's also worked with her principal who she has been reassigned to at Ansel Adams. We're asking that you don't take somebody who is pivotal to our program. We're in the home stretch, we're about there, and you're moving our coach, essentially. She is a key piece of Larson. She is key to the students. She is a sense of security. She's a sense of excitement. On Friday, the last day of school, I actually followed her as students cheered her name and cried, and we just don't want to lose something that's so exciting and so positive for our students. They love her. They even got a petition together to save her job. Essentially, that's what they thought. They were saving her job, but they're saving her to be there. And in this day and age, kids need the security. They need something every day to be excited about. They come to school excited, and they need to have that love and appreciation for who they're with every day.
Olivia, and I'm sorry, oh, this is a student. Olivia?
She already spoke.
Oh, thank you, Olivia. Very well, I might add. All right, Matt, and I'm sorry, Matt, is it?
Vaccarezza.
Vaccarezza. Thank you, Matt, for helping me out on that and not leaving me hanging out there.
Those darn Italian names. Thank you, board, for giving me the time. Again, this is on the VP reassignment. As a parent at Larson Elementary, I'm very disheartened to hear about the removal of Vice President Russiger. Ms. Russiger is a fantastic administrator and plays a vital role in the success of the school. As Vice Principal, Ms. Russiger is integral to the discipline and fostering of the school climate. She knows the students and has formed crucial relationships with them. In a time where school shootings are on the news more than positive aspects of schools, a consistent and safe environment is what the district should be striving for. Ms. Russiger helps provide this at Larson. Students are able to come and talk to her about what's going on and what has been troubling them. The elementary years are formative in creating a love for learning and acceptance in students. The positive influence and attitude that Ms. Russiger brings to Larson is a huge part of helping students with this. Without positive nurturing relationships between students and administration, there will be no end to negativity and violence in schools. Students need to feel that they are an important part of the school environment. Ms. Russiger's presence is constant in the hallways at Larson as she's visiting classrooms and calling students by name. As Larson is leading the charge in the educational revolution and driving forward and promoting collaboration and community, Ms. Russiger has been one of the people who has been at the forefront of this movement. The years ahead at Larson with the transition of the school into house families is one that benefits not only the students at Larson, but the district as a whole. In addition to the students, Ms. Russiger is a major part of what drives such a skilled and devoted staff at Larson. Disruptions such as this to a faculty from a culture, climate, cohesion, and commitment perspective can be devastating to the state of the school. Not to mention the long-term impact on the education of current and future students based on what is being developed at Larson.
Time.
Whether or not you're familiar with the Ron Clark, which others have already spoken to, the Ron Clark Academy is helping you guys can fully understand what is being implemented.
That's going to need to wrap it up.
All right, let's get to this question. From the outside looking in, I feel there's a flaw in the district's process, removing or replacing a leader such as Ms. Russiger without her willingness or preemptive proposal to do so and without discussion. For me, from a parent's perspective, losing a leader like this, based on whatever the practice is, it makes it hard to understand if the interests of the students or my child at the school is at the heart of it.
Matt, I'm going to have to ask you to close it up there.
All right. Larson is known as one of the best schools in the Lodi Unified School District, and it's on the cutting edge. This decision, if held up, will put a significant dent in those plans Ms. Maldonado and Ms. Russiger has put in. To repeat, moving Ms. Russiger at this pivotal time in Larson will be detrimental. She has the ability, the skills, the training to help the staff, parents, and students work to make Larson an even better school than what it currently is.
Thank you, Matt. Before we move on to our consent agenda, I want to tell you, everybody here, that we really do appreciate you coming out. You know, one of the goals is to increase, across the district, is to increase parent participation. Actually, that's a state goal, all right? There's a problem with the lack of parents participating across the state. So to see all of you come out here, it's great. So thank you guys very much. I appreciate that. Before we go to the consent agenda, I will take a short break if you guys would like to go ahead. I know that you find the board meetings fascinating, but if you would like to leave at this time, it would be great for us if you left now rather than during the meeting. So I'd like to please go ahead. Or you rest drink water.
Thank you very much. Oh, no, thank you. Appreciate you being here. Good night. Thank you.
Every FAA. Oh, FAA. That's right. He's radiator. Okay. All right, let's move on. Take care. Nancy, it's good seeing you again.
Thank you.
Tell Tim said hi.
Yep, it was fascinating.
You're crazy.
We'll save you a seat for next meeting.
Okay, well, yeah.
All right, let's move on to consent agenda A, or is there any items on consent agenda A that board members would like pulled?
Mr. Neely, A9 for abstention, please.
A9 for Mr. Nava. Any other items?
Point of order, if we are absent from a meeting, do we have to abstain?
No.
Okay.
Oh, we don't have.
You don't have to, just because you're
Yes,
absent.
you raised that.
Okay?
Because I was gonna, if I
Yeah,
had
thank
to,
you.
I miss her.
Because we're just approving everything there. and
No problem. Raised.
All right, any items that members of the public would like pulled from the agenda?
Mr. Neely, I move we approve routine agenda A.
Thank you, Mr. Nava. Second. Thank you, Dr. Talkin. Okay. Did you get that? Okay. Calling for the vote. Consent agenda A passes 7-0. First, consent agenda B.
Mr. President, I move approval of items B1 through B6.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Talkin. Thank you, Mr. Nava. Calling for the vote. Approved 7-0. Personnel matters, Mr. McKilligan.
Mr. President, routine personnel matters are presented for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. McKilligan.
Mr. Neely, I move we approve personnel matters.
Thank you, Mr. Nava.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Talkin. Calling for the vote. Item approved 7-0. Communications, comments from employee group representatives. Any employee group representatives that would like to speak?
Seeing none.
Seeing none. Hey, Michelle.
Good evening. Again. Promotions, graduations.
Oh, man.
Celebrating lots of successes across the district. As teachers say goodbye to this year's class students and some of their peers, it is sometimes heart-wrenching, but they have already started professional development and setting up their classrooms to greet next year's students, creating those learning environments to be welcoming for next year. We'd like to celebrate those successes, and I just want you to know some of our teachers will be hard at work most of summer for next year. So although we got started with bargaining, we look forward to continuing our discussions at the table. We hope to reach an MOU for a new teacher orientation, and we look forward to, well, I look forward to seeing you throughout the summer at this evening a couple more times. So short tonight, and thank you. It was a pleasure to see board members and staff at high school graduation for my nephew. And you know, it is a time to celebrate all the successes And the numbers that were reported tonight are fabulous. And I have to say, teachers worked really hard with some of those students, as I think you've seen on some of the turnaround cases coming back. So, thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay, anybody else? John? No? Okay.
I can give you a quick update of.
No, stay
What
there.
I-
Stay there.
No, I don't. I meant to call.
Send us an email.
Sorry. I can. Just real quick, wanted to, good evening, members of the board.
Good evening, John. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Hi, John.
Just real quick update. We had our last negotiation session, a tentative agreement, and our bylaws call for numbered ballots, and we need to have a majority plus one of our membership. We had a rush meeting, and we had close to 100 members there. We have not gotten to that number, so we had to wait 15 days. So I just kind of wanted to give you a heads up. I would have loved to have had some news for you guys tonight. We don't have any at this point. I'm waiting to get a call from Susie, our treasurer, or our secretary, and kind of let, so we'll contact Mike as soon as we know anything. So thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you for that update, John. I appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John. Okay, comments from board members?
Seeing none.
No. Just a couple of comments on my part. I want to congratulate you, Lodi, for your new job in Woodland. I understand you're moving. Thank you very much for serving Lodi Unified School District for the last 2 years? 3 years or 2? 3. Very good. Good luck to you on your new job. I want to congratulate one of my favorite persons over there that is retiring, the secondary education. My gosh, what a cheerful person to see at the board meeting. Every time I look at her, she's got paid today, I say, hey, how you doing? Very good, Don. Thank you for all your years of service. Thank you for being helpful to a lot of the board members. And I appreciate your help and all the things that you did for Lodi Unified. Thank you again.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, well, in addition to getting to see a whole lot of people graduate last week, before that, I got to meet and talk to Barack Obama, Walt Disney, Jackie Robinson, Rosa Parks, and John Muir. Now, they all have to be 5th graders in character and in costume at John Muir's school, but it was still fun, and it was a great project for those kids. That was at their open house, or back to school, I guess it is. And I also, Don, see you at the park.
Thank you, Mr. Max. Anything? Anything?
Congratulations, John, Don, and the logo.
Okay.
They're gonna think they don't have to come next time.
No,
I'll take that back.
You read the fine print on the contract. You got to come for another year.
So get to work tomorrow.
That's all right.
Who else would come?
Okay, I want to echo what Mr. Nava said. We're going to miss both of you guys. It's just been and thank you for everything that you guys have done for this district. I know that it can be tough at sometimes, especially this board can be tough at sometimes, especially Mr. Nava.
Yeah.
But thank you guys very much for that. We greatly appreciate it. Michelle, are you still here?
Yes.
Oh, you're over there. Now you got that whole side by yourself. Wow.
It's summer vacation, they should go home.
God. I'm going to assume that we got that professional development thing worked out. You're shaking your head no, so that's what we need to finalize and get that worked out. The last thing I heard, I thought, was Dr. Washer saying that these teachers are grown-ups and they can work on their professional development and they can kind of figure that out. That's what I thought we came up to. And I thought that's what you wanted, was that, hey, we'll multiple avenues here, so I don't know. But if you all could talk about that, work that out. You know what the plural of y'all is?
Y'all.
All y'all. That's right. Comes from my 17 years.
My name
in
is
the South.
Sue. How do you do?
Yeah, how do you do? All right, there was that one. I wasn't aware of the problems of FFA. I even wrote it down at FAA. That's what comes from being a pilot.
FFA.
Right.
Pilot.
Yeah, pilot mentality. Okay, so I wasn't aware of those problems out there. Maybe we need to look at that a little bit harder and see what we got going on. If we're not, it's one of those things. I think if you're going to have a program, you do it right. If you're not, you get rid of it. One or the other. So that's my way of thinking on that. Okay, that professional development. Okay. Oh, you know what? One thing that I would have liked is I would have liked to have heard what Larson was doing in depth way before tonight. They've been working on this plan for a year now, and I would have really appreciated knowing that. And so what I think we need to do is we need to find out, nobody's in trouble, right? So what we need to do though is find out where the breakdown was and why we didn't know about it. Stuff like that the board does need to know about. I did Google the Ron Clark Academy today, and if you guys haven't done that, I suggest you do it. It's really interesting. It actually is an academy. It's a school. When I first heard about it, I thought it was a place for teachers just to go train, but it's more than that. It's a working school in the southeast section of Atlanta, my old hometown there. And they're doing some pretty amazing things. So that's the kind of thing that we need to know about so that we can go out there and check it out and talk to them, that kind of thing. And that's all that I've got. So moving right along, more comments from the superintendent.
No, thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving right along here. Report on career, technical education, the retiring, Ms. Venn. Just don't retire. When
Just
you're
tired.
All right, just tired.
Don't you think?
After last week, are you kidding?
Oh, yeah. I think we're all retired now.
Train should be up there too.
I think she should. Okay, Trang, you're on. There you go. You're invited to the party. Good evening, President Neely and members of the board. This is a historical night. It is my last board report, and it is Julie's first.
Mr. President, if you continue this presentation to September, Ms. Medica will be able to retire.
That's a good idea.
Tonight, we'll be talking about our career technical education program in Lodi Unified and also adult ed. We were very blessed in getting Julie as the principal at LTA. She's done a great job this first year. And I think you guys will find as the years go by that she'll become even more valuable because she knows the program, she knows the grants, and she's done a really fantastic job. And I will turn it over to her. Thank you. I'm just here to protect her.
No, that's pretty short for your last speech. Come on.
Thank you. Good evening, President Neely, board members, and Dr. Washer. I'm pleased to present the Lodi Unified Career Technical Education report tonight. And before I start, though, I just really wanted to express our appreciation on behalf of myself, our staff, and our students for all of your support with CTE and with adult ed. It's truly amazing to have so much support for these programs. And it's so important for our students to have these opportunities. And I also, before I start, would like to kind of address the FFA situation with Bear Creek just briefly. Yeah. So, unfortunately, I just became aware of the situation and the concerns that they're having over there 2 days ago. So I have reached out to the principal, Hillary, over there, and we've kind of been missing each other for the last couple of days, and you can imagine why. We're trying to wind everything down and whatnot. But anyway, we do have funding in CTE to help Bear Creek. And so I already talked to Ms. Hillen and let her know that we will work together to try and find some solutions to the problems that they're having over there. I already have agreed to give her about $100,000 for a new greenhouse. So she's going to get a brand new greenhouse next year. And then I'm not sure what the electrical issues are out there because, like I said, it just came to my attention the last couple of days. So I'm not sure of the logistics and things like that of what's going on over there. So I will be working with the principal at Bear Creek and trying to figure out if we can find a solution to that problem, because that's what CTE is all about. It's to build programs and to make sure that we have those opportunities for all kids. So we'll be working on that. So I just wanted to let you know that that's
Fantastic.
going
One more
on.
thing I'd like on that. If they have been talking about it, then it didn't get to you. So we need to find out where the breakdown in that communication was.
Right.
So that we can find out about those things sooner and handle them before it has to come up here.
Yeah, and so, I mean, just with the equipment, and I think I feel the need to let you know what happened too, and this is what I have, this is my understanding, is that there have been equipment, about $50,000 worth of equipment that was purchased for the welding classroom, as she was talking about, and apparently the wrong type of equipment was purchased and it can't fit through the door of the welding class.
Well,
So
that's
something as crazy as that. So that's why all of this equipment is just sitting there unused. So we need to figure out a way to make this work. But again, I didn't know about it until 2 days ago. So we will be working on that.
That's the problem solver right there. Look at that, he's already writing it up, he's taking it down.
He'll have all the answers by 9 o'clock.
That's right.
tomorrow.
Or he's sending me a message saying, why did you bring this up?
I have a question. You know, the FFA personnel talked about they're getting the runaround. Who's the person that they seek not to get the runaround?
I'm not sure who they've been talking to, because tonight was the first time I've heard about it too. So Julie just found about it 2 days ago, and I just heard it tonight. So we'll get to the bottom of it starting tomorrow.
They mentioned that they're not getting any results. I mean, was something, they gotta go through the right channels.
They do, they do. And so the lead teacher for FFA for Bear Creek is out on maternity leave. So that's, I think, part of the breakdown.
Okay.
But we'll rectify it. We'll work together and figure it out for them, because they deserve to have a good FFA program just as the other schools do.
That's
So
great, times changing where you say the
Register for that
FFA
trailer.
lead is out on maternity leave. You know?
Yeah.
When I was at Lodi High, you would have never heard anything like that.
Let me pipe up a little bit too. I'm real active in Lodi High and Tokyo High FFA. I think the programs are great. I mean, come on, it's California. We feed people.
Yes.
So if you could, when the greenhouse is built or something, just kind of let us know, hey, we're gonna welcome, the new greenhouse to the school program or something. I'm just asking for communication so that we know how things are going, and, double check. Mr. Freitas just said, register that trailer. So, any things like that we hear, it's good that when it came to the board, that we know it's taken care of, because some of us make lists.
Sure.
I'd like my list crossed out.
Understood. Will do.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Sure,
Thank you.
absolutely.
They're great programs, and
Yes.
I'm a former ROP guy anyway, so.
Great, thank you. I'm in charge of this as well, okay. There we go. So as we know, CTE is for all students, just not for students who are going to college. It's for every single student that we have here in Lodi, that we have in the state of California. CTE pathways help to develop student skills to meet high skill, high demand, high wage jobs. And with that said, most of our CTE funding now is through grants, competitive grants. I've just named most of the competitive grants that we have right now that fund all of our different types of programs, and this is all K-12 funding right now. So I don't know if you have any questions about any of those particular grants. Carl Perkins grant is the only one that we have that is a federal grant. The rest of them are all state grants. Questions? Okay.
No questions.
Okay. So along with this funding that we receive, it comes a lot of accountability. And that accountability has a compliance and comes in the form of, our compliance comes in the form of the 11 elements of a high quality CTE program. So the 11 elements it's a very thick manual, about this big. And so there are many different criteria within the 11 elements that you must meet in order to be considered a high quality CTE program, and therefore receive more funds as each year goes through, okay? You have to be able to meet that criteria. One of the very first elements is the sectors and pathways. And so sectors and pathways are a little bit daunting at first when you start to learn about them, but sectors are broken into 15 different work sectors, and we'll see that in our next slide. But under sectors, we have many other pathways. So that's one of the pieces of the 11 elements that I am going to be working on this next year. And with Lisa Katowski and Susan Martin over the summer, we are going to work on making sure that we have complete sectors and pathways. A pathway is actually 3 courses, an introductory, a concentrator, and a capstone class. So they're a progression of learning, just like English 1, English 2, English 3. You wouldn't put a kid in English 3 before he took English 1. You wouldn't put a kid in a CTE class, a welding class, say, a welding class 3 before he took a welding class 1. So kids have to take these CTE classes in a progression, okay? So that's what we're going to be working on this year to make sure that we have complete pathways. It is a requirement of all of that funding that I showed you on the previous slide. There are other requirements, and I'll just kind of quickly go through them. Our courses, CTE courses, have to be articulated with local community colleges, and currently right now we have 27 programs that are articulated. So that is most of what we offer are articulated with Delta College and other local community colleges, which is fantastic. All of our CTE courses should have advisory committees, and these advisory committees really should be driving our curriculum. Most of them are, so we'll be looking at that as well, and I'll talk about that in the next slide. And then we also need to make sure that we have properly credentialed CTE teachers teaching CTE classes. If we do not have a CTE teacher who is credentialed, then we cannot receive funding for that class. Career technical student organizations is a must. That's another requirement of the 11 elements to be considered a high quality CTE program, and we have many of those. So you can see I listed a few of them. HOSA, which is Health Occupation Students of America, FFA, Future Farmers of America, FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America, Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, Skills USA, and so on. There are several others. Most of our programs do belong to a CTSO. So we're doing very well, actually. We just need to tweak a little.
Do you do anything with, what colleges do you work with?
Delta College. Consumas, thank you.
What was that?
And Columbia.
Consumas. Okay.
And Columbia.
Okay. Do you do anything with Humphreys College, private college?
We do.
Okay, what do you do with them?
Humphreys, who's articulated with Humphreys? Kurt's class. Entrepreneurship.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yep. So we usually go through Delta College first. If they don't offer a class, then we will go to a different local college, and they're fine with that. So we want to make sure that we have articulation. And just because a student receives articulation college units with Delta College doesn't necessarily mean they need to go to Delta College. They can go to another community college with those credits. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So Lodi Unified offers 13 of 17 industry sectors, which I kind of briefly talked about earlier. 13 of 15, thank you. The California Department of Ed has categorized CTE programs within these 15 industry sectors. So it's wonderful that we actually offer 13 of 15 of them.
Which two do we not offer?
We do not offer building and construction trades, which is residential and commercial construction.
Got it.
And manufacturing product development, which would be product innovation and design. Okay, so those are the only two that we don't offer right now. But 13 of 15 is pretty incredible.
That's pretty good.
We offer more than any other district in the county. We offer the most CTE programs in the county.
What was that?
The
most
CTE programs in the county.
Turn it up.
And everyone knows it, by the way. All right, so Lincoln Technical Academy and Lodi Adult School Programs. So these are some of the programs that we offer. I just kind of wanted to highlight some of the things that we're doing at Lincoln Tech and Lodi Adult. So we have the CTE programs, the high school credit recovery. We do the high school summer intercession, which is going to start next week. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And of course, our adult education, CTE programs for adults, English as a second language, high school diploma, GED prep, and adults with disabilities. So those are all the programs that we offer there. So these are the high school sites, the CTE programs and enrollment. So I have them all listed there under the high schools, and then also their enrollment is next to each of the programs. We also offer a Microsoft certification class at Plaza Robles and one at Liberty as well. It's not on this list. So it's quite
Julie, do you have any
comprehensive.
welding classes anywhere?
Yes, so welding is under ag.
Ag, under ag, very good, thank you.
You've got a lot of really good courses there at Liberty for technology, the digital. Well, you guys do some fantastic things, but are we doing anything out at any of the high schools?
For technical,
Right, for programming, for information systems, information technology.
yeah, so we don't have a lot of those programs that are offered at the comprehensives. So in a later slide, I'll talk about future things that we're looking into right now. But no, we don't have a lot of that. We do have a couple of business classes within the school sites, but some of them are not actually considered CTE courses because they don't meet the criteria that we just talked about a couple of slides ago. So they're actually under electives and not career technical education.
Yeah, there's no, does anybody teach accounting?
No.
Yeah, I think
Not at this time.
Might have been the last one, and he retired this year, as far as I know. But,
Yes, you are correct.
and is there particular, just not enough interest, or is there a particular reason why that's not, I mean, since that's the kind of the first class that students have to take in college, I mean, everybody takes, if you're a business major, you're gonna take accounting.
Yes, so a future plan, and that's in another slide here coming up shortly, but we are going to start a business pathway, which will actually be personal finance. And so we're thinking about putting that at Bear Creek right now.
Personal finance.
Personal finance, and that's including accounting.
What an idea is that? What a great idea.
Pay no attention to these guys.
They're losing it. Talk to us about consumer services, what is that?
So consumer services is under our FACE programs. So it's family and consumer services. So those are in 3 of the programs. McNair has one, Bear Creek, and I'm sorry, all 4 of them do. Bear Creek, Lodi, and Tokay. So those FACE programs are, I hate to use the word home ec, but they're kind of
old home ec.
home ec-ish. And so we want to take them from home ec-ish and turn them into true CTE pathways. So that's part of what we're going to do over the summer is revamp those. So teachers will still be teaching what they currently are, so they're not going to be displaced in any way. We just need to make sure that we categorize them in the right place according to what the pathway guidelines are. So we'll be working with all of those teachers.
One of the things we're going to discuss after tonight is personal finance. And I can see personal finance fitting into that as well. And if we do end up at some point making it a requirement, that taking that particular course would work to solve that requirement.
So personal finance does not fit under consumer services, believe it or not. It doesn't. It kind of sounds like it should, but it doesn't. So we have to abide by the guidelines of what CDE has put out for us under certain sectors and pathways.
Got it. Okay.
So we have to make sure that we put classes under specific pathways. And so if we're going to do a business finance, we are going to do a business finance class that's actually going to go under the business sector. So that's how we can do that.
All right.
And we can expand on that as well. So, but one step at a time, we're just gonna pilot this pathway at one school, see how that goes, see what the interest looks like with students or not, because you have to make sure that students want to take the class. We want to make sure we fill
Right.
classes, right? So we're gonna pilot it this year and then we can grow from there.
Julie, the engineering and design, is that drafting?
Yes,
That is drafting?
it is drafting.
It'd be so easy if they put the names.
Yeah.
They don't even
Wood shop.
They don't even call it
They're
ROP
big-
anymore.
it's up in the app.
Change that name.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
like ROP. Know what it is. It's
Every-
occupational. I mean,
Newfangled name.
Some of us do call it ROP.
Okay. So, Lincoln Tech Academy, this is, I just wrote a list of the current offerings that we have now. So we did make a little bit of change in that we are calling the Microsoft business or Microsoft certification, we're calling it business occupation certification. So when we're advertising, we were just talking about class names, when you're advertising them to kids, we want it to sound like an interesting class that they're gonna take. So that's why we changed the name to that, to make sure that kids understand exactly what it is. If you call it office occupations, then males seem to think that that's a kind of a female class, and so they're not apt to take it, but that's why we did that. And then we're also going to offer this next school year an introductory to a dental assistant, and we already brought that to the board at our last meeting. And we did that to make sure that students are better prepared to take the dental assisting class and to take our medical assisting class, because they are very rigorous classes, and we're finding that students aren't doing so well. They take it and they, about a quarter way through the class, thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't realize this was so rigorous. And so we've decided to do an intro to dental, which will also cover medical, to kind of give them a taste for those occupations. And then they'll be, hopefully, the hope is that they'll be more successful in those other two classes.
Are those 800 enrolled, 800, you have 500 high school and 300 adult, right?
We do.
That's
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah. Mhm.
Wow.
And those are just in the CTE classes.
Yes.
Mhm. Yep.
So if you have a student at Bear Creek who wants to take computer service and repair, how does that work?
They are bused. So CTE pays for buses for students to go from their home schools to Lincoln Tech Academy to take a class, and then they take a bus back to their home school.
So if they
So
do
they
that
go one period.
for one period, they
Yeah.
lose, well, they can't go to a full period before and they can't go to a full period after, right?
So there are 2-period classes that we have at our school, at
Okay.
Lincoln Tech Academy. There are 2 periods. So it's equal. It's equal. So they're just taking their elective class at Lincoln Tech Academy
Okay.
instead of taking it on their campus.
All right. I guess my question is, how much time do they miss at their campus? That's what I'm trying to get to.
It's 2 periods.
And it's just 2 periods,
Mhm.
okay.
Plus transportation.
And plus transportation.
Plus transportation time.
Yeah, well, actually, the transportation time is built into the 2 periods, so they actually
Okay.
don't miss campus time as much as they miss LTA time, which is really unfortunate. It's unfortunate either way.
What's LTA?
I'm sorry,
Lincoln
Lincoln
Tech.
Tech Academy, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, so the transportation time is built into the 2 periods.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, so they will miss 2 full periods at their home school.
Correct.
Okay.
Mhm. Okay, so I just wanted to briefly just talk about summer intercession. We're going to start summer intercession next Monday. And so this summer intercession is for our seniors at the comprehensive high schools who have missed graduation by 10 or less credits. They come to Lincoln Tech Academy for a 6-week summer program where they're able to earn those 10 credits. So I just wanted to give you just the last few years of data, so the school years, how many students were enrolled and how many actually received their diploma from their home school. So they're able to receive their diploma from their home. They're not able to walk, but they're able to receive a diploma from their home school by successfully completing this program. So we have about 25 students who are enrolled to start this next Monday for this summer session. So the statistics are very high of completion, which is great.
Is that capacity, or that's how many apply? We have to see
It's
for
how
everyone
many
applies.
applied. Our capacity, we could probably take maybe 10 more than that. So,
Okay.
yeah. Mhm.
Thanks.
Mhm. Okay, and then Lodi Adult School. So, we all know educating our adults in our community is critical to our local economy, and how critical it is for our students who are going to our other schools, that their parents are well educated, and it just makes for a better parent, it makes for a better family, and makes for a better student for us. So it's important to have continue to have these classes. Lodi Unified belongs to a regional consortium, which consists of our local districts, Delta College, the County Office of Education. So we are, I believe, a well-functioning consortium. Lodi Adult School receives funding through the state, through the Adult Education Block Grant. And with this funding, there is lots of accountability in adult ed now. And part of that accountability is that we meet the needs of our local community. And that means that we also have to collect data and show outcomes for the work that we're doing with our adults in our community. As far as transitioning those adult students from receiving their high school diploma, transitioning into work, into higher education, or into training, which we just happen to have on our campus as well, so we can refer students to our CTE programs.
Just a question here, Julie. English as a second language, you have it there. There are some elementary schools that have actually adult students that are studying, the second language, but they don't have any teacher help. Is there a possibility to farm some of these adult teachers to those schools for maybe 2 hours, that type of thing?
So that's in 2 slides, yes.
Oh, I have no patience, I have no patience. Thank you, Julie.
Julie, before you move.
Oh, yes.
On that last one, it did say that it was grant money.
Yes.
Now, it did say ongoing afterwards. Was that yes, it is ongoing, or that it is not ongoing?
So let me explain to you. So yes, it is called Adult Education Block Grant. That is the name of the grant. And unfortunately, that last word grant scares people a bit. So what we are trying to do, we meaning the state and our state legislatures, are trying to take the word grant off of Adult Education Block Grant, because it is ongoing funding.
Okay.
It's
like a
it's
categorical.
not, it's like a categorical.
Until there's a budget crisis.
Of course. Well, and that's why when you had that first slide where you listed all those grants, the only one I knew that was ongoing for decades was Perkins.
Yeah.
Those other ones, you just kind of go, well, how long is that going to last? You know, so like you said, the grant,
Yeah.
I'm looking at that and going, oh man,
Yeah.
what do we do when they're gone?
So the CTIG grant, it is in the governor's budget, and it looks like we're going to at least get another 3 years.
Because he's threatened not to do that either, too. But I'm glad he did now. So.
Yeah, so at least another 3 years.
Okay.
But, I mean, it'll still be a competitive grant. I'll still have to apply every year to receive the funding, but we get a substantial amount of money from CTIG.
Thank you.
Could I just make a comment?
Yes, ma'am.
A couple of us went to the adult school graduation, and it is the most joyous graduation, I think, because, well, the oldest person, I believe, was 64, and then you had your 18-year-olds, of course, but when you look out at that audience, those family members are just jubilant. And it's such it just was heartwarming. It truly was. I'm so glad. Thank you. I'm just so glad we have that program.
And honestly, the adult education is very near and dear to my heart. I was an adult education graduate myself, and so I dropped out of school when I don't want to get into my life story, but I dropped out of school. I was a junior, and so I went back to adult school when I was 35. And so, because I wanted to go to college, and because my son was getting older, and I didn't want him to know, that I was a high school dropout, and so I had to fix that somehow. So this program was really near and dear to my heart, and I know how many of our graduates really flourish after they accomplish this goal. So it's truly amazing. And so we are going to be doing some new things. We're going to revamp our adult education program. So I'm going to get to that in the next slide here pretty soon. But thank you for attending our graduation. I know it means a lot to our students.
Thank you for sharing your story. I mean, you're the inspiration. And that's the feeling you get, that everybody is just on the right track.
Mm-hmm.
Green light, go. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to see these folks go through all of their challenges and whatnot and accomplish this goal for themselves. It's amazing. So thank you for that. So meeting the needs of the community, we want to make sure that we have a transitions piece to our adult education. So that's part of what we'll be doing next. So I'm going to go ahead and go to our next slide and talk about the coming soon. So we offer day and evening classes for our ESL, and also for our it's called adult basic education. We don't tell our students that, but it's for high school diploma, to receive your high school diploma, and also GED prep. And then transition's new for us this year, so we're really going to revamp our program and make sure that we have that transitions piece that we're missing right now, so that we can transition folks, like I said earlier, to work, to higher education, or to additional training that they need. We also need to align our EL proficiency standards, our English language proficiency standards, so we will be working a lot with professional development with our ESL teachers on that over the summer. And then in this next school year, we are also going to add ESL at an elementary site. We're going to pilot one for this next school year. So we are hiring an ESL part-time teacher to do that now. We have the posting out right now. And then again, the career transitions is a huge piece this year. So we're going to do a lot of transitioning ourselves as our program continues to grow. And then our next steps for Lodi Unified CTE. So we are going to, new for this school year, we're going to host a professional development specifically for our CTE teachers. And then we're going to actually cover those 11 elements. Remember, I was telling you that is a huge part of our compliance for all of our monies that we receive every year. So I'm going to host the PD over the summer. It's going to be an entire day with CTE teachers, and then I'm going to continue to do that throughout the year. I'm hoping to have 3 or 4 different sessions outside of CTE teachers' work hours. They will be time-sheeted to come in and also work, continue to work on the 11 elements in all of those different areas. And then we're going to do workshops with vice principals and counselors to make sure that we're placing students in that progression of learning, like I was telling you about, the pathways, and they have an intro, a concentrator, and a capstone. So you guys will probably hear me say that every time that I have to do something up here for you. But it's really important that we don't place kids in classes because there's nowhere else to put them because they have a hole in their schedule. That's not the way CTE is designed. We need to make sure that they go through a progression of learning in CTE programs. So that's what we're really going to strive to work on for this next year. We're going to align CTE core standards. CTE, yes, has core standards that are directly aligned with academic standards. So we are going to work on that through our professional development, aligning sectors and pathways, as I talked about, making sure that we go over advisory committees and how important they are to our programs, and then, of course, our CTSOs. All right. Any questions?
Board members, questions, comments?
Julie, I don't have any questions, but thank you very much for your report. My gosh, you have a passion for this. I can tell right away. I mean, that you're doing. You didn't have to tell me your story, but I would have told you that anyway. I know that a lot of good things are happening there, and I am sure that I'm going to go visit you next fall.
Great, thank you. We'd love to have you.
I often said if I come out of retirement and I was going to teach, I'd want to be at Lincoln Tech. Because I visited that program over the years, and it's a great program. I'm really happy to see that you're adding a business pathway. And I hope somewhere in that pathway you have some information with double entry accounting, because I very much feel like if you're going to go into the world of business, you better know what that's all about, because that is a language of business. So great job, and keep it up.
Thank you.
Thank you,
very
Mr.
much.
Knackstedt. Anybody? I would join in my colleagues' comments, Ms. Castle, Mr. Nalda, and Mr. Knackstedt. But what I really want to say is we went to a lot of graduations the past 2 weeks, and only one principal came to our board meeting tonight to thank us for doing it. And that's not going unnoticed. In addition to the outstanding job you're doing with our CTE and the adult education. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you again for all of your support. It's much appreciated.
Okay, I have a question too.
Sorry.
One of the things, there are two pathways that I was really interested in doing. I mean, our comprehensive high schools used to have a business department, just like English, just like math. And so I'm really happy that we're taking steps to kind of getting that back. I think that's really good. We do business too in this country. The other one that I think opens a lot of doors for kids had already been mentioned previously, and that would be like a computer science pathway. And what you guys have at Lincoln Tech is great, but that's only for kids who can afford 2 periods. And there's some of the CTE courses have transportation and some do not. So I'm very interested, and I'm not the only one on the board that's interested in trying to get classes to the comprehensive high schools. And I know sometimes that's really hard to expand, but do we have an idea or a plan to maybe expand computer technology into comprehensive high schools?
So
you don't have to do it tomorrow.
No.
At the beginning of the school year would be nice.
Yeah.
So there are some challenges. We do have funding to fund pathways, but there are a few challenges. First of all, the comprehensive high schools have to have a room, and secondly, it's very difficult to hire CTE teachers. And I'm sure that this has come up before, so I'm sure I don't need to go into that, but it's a challenge.
Well, that's my next question. One of the slides mentioned the CTE credentialing. So my fear is what you just said, it's very difficult to find that. Now, is it mine was a designated subject, so is it a CTE credential, or is it a FFA? Is it or is it that specific?
It is that specific.
Oh, it is.
It's a
Okay.
designated subject credential in the subject for which you are teaching.
See, and that's hard because a lot of those professions make more money.
Yes, sir.
And it's just like my daughter's a nurse, well, they can't find nursing teachers because they don't make as much money as a nurse on the floor.
Right.
So, okay.
Yes, that's
But
the
I do
problem.
want to point out that we do have other computer classes, they're just not CTE, technical CTE classes, but we do offer classes in computers.
Right, but what's nice about the CTE ones, you also saw that there are certain criteria that
Yeah.
we know it's known.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I'm on an advisory board also for CTE, and the business community, the people in the field are making sure that what you're doing is relevant. So, and I think that really helps make whatever computer program you have or pathway or something, to really make it a good punch for their time. So, okay,
Yes.
I'm just curious, because we've been talking about computer tech for a long time.
Okay, Julie, you do a fantastic job.
Thank
Then adult graduation, I gotta tell you what, that was probably the highlight of the year. That 30-year-old, and she wasn't quite 30, because her goal was to graduate before her 30th birthday. She had 5 siblings that graduated before. She was the oldest of 6.
Oh my God.
And 5 of them graduated before her goal, and she met it. So that was great. She almost had me in tears. She was up there
Yes.
talking. She was
Me
crying.
too.
I was almost crying, you know. Dawn was crying. We were all actually. No, God. It was great.
Oh, I have to just say one more thing.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Tran, during the mock interviews, and I've done those for years, and I can't tell you this last time how many of those, well, they're students, high school students and adults too, mentioned how extremely helpful you are. So thank you for that. I mean, and I know you do such a good job, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I finish now? Don't worry.
You can tell we're on break, right?
All right. Where was I going? Oh, yeah. One of the things I would like you just to think about, I'd like us to think about as we go forward, is there's a model that's being done in Long Beach, and it has to deal with academies. And different schools have different academies within them, and students, instead of going to a school solely on a geography standpoint, they go to a school based on a specialty. Now, you may start as a freshman, you know, at your local school, and then choose another academy to go to. It's just an idea, but it's an idea worth looking at. You may have computer science at one, you may have business at another, and that kind of, everything they do is based on academies.
Actually, Sac City has that type of model also.
Is that right?
And we did go visit Kennedy High School 2 years ago?
Yeah, about 3 years.
It's,
3 years ago?
I think there's some games.
So there are
out
some
there.
models like that, yes.
Yeah. And I mean, on their healthcare model, the kids wear scrubs to school. It's getting them in that mode, getting them in that thought process.
So the California Partnership Academy, we do have several of those. We have 3 of them. So we have a health academy, CPA, and that's strictly, it's a small academy within your school. And so those kids go to the different classes as part of that academy. So we do have that on a small scale already.
I think it's a great idea. You take English classes with your work focused toward that industry.
Yes.
Which I think is a fantastic idea.
It
Gives
is.
our kids a real head start. But anyway, just a thought on that.
Yep.
Michelle, are you standing up because you're tired or tired of sitting?
Yes and no.
Yes, no.
One, I want to say thank you for recognizing the elephant tonight, and about Bear Creek. And we've already reached out and let people know to contact you directly on the next step. So thank you very much for that. You know, we heard a little bit about that last year at Julia Morgan, but wow, changed. So we also appreciate you recognizing the home ec, that teachers would still remain that are credentialed. Great stuff. And as I was placed on CTE last year at State Council and had no knowledge of it, you're leaps and bounds ahead of many school districts. And you're right. In our area, they look at our program. On the next steps for LUSD CTE, I would caution the over summer PD training, because that is teachers' time off, and teachers have already said, stop putting training during summer, let me do it at other times. So I would just caution maybe another time other than summer on that one. But
So this summer, and I need to clarify, because the summer PD is that week that we return.
Those 2 days.
Those 2
professional
days.
development day,
Yeah.
not other days.
Nope, I grabbed one of them for CTE teachers, so it would be more relevant to them.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for clarifying.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
That's what we want to hear.
Yeah.
Hey, you've got it.
Okay.
I like this.
I would just like to add one thing.
Oh, you're going to speak up now?
Yeah, I am.
You want
She does so well.
You want to add that you're responsible for all of this podcast?
Yes. She was very successful this year. It's because of who supervised her.
That's right.
I did attach to the board report the course selection sheets of the 4 comprehensive high schools and a list of electives that were at each site for this past year. I think there was a couple of errors in there that we didn't get, the principals are doing this at the last minute, but I just thought it's been a direction of the board for us to have a broad course of study, and CTE is a part of that, but all of our electives are also a part of that, so I just wanted you all to know what is being offered out there at the 4 comprehensive high schools.
Fantastic.
Thank
you very
you,
much.
because that brings me to another question.
I knew that.
And I even have it highlighted. The only campus, and we already knew this from the math report that we got, is consumer math is at Lodi High.
Yes.
So the next year's course selection sheets, I'll see that all over.
Yes.
I'm shaking, you're shaking your head.
I'll come back and show you. No.
She's shaking her head. Thank you so much.
Hey, we good?
Okay, thank you guys very much. Have a good evening. We'll move on to the last 2 items on here, which are both mine.
We have to lose.
I don't think Don was good.
I'm going to be quick about it.
Great.
Thank you, ladies.
All right, well, we're going to go back into close for just a few moments. When we're done here, we need to finalize that next meeting on the goals. We just need to do that real quick. All right. All right. On the delegate assembly, there's only a couple of things I want to go over. You bring up that slide. There we go. All right, I went to the CSBA delegate assembly in May. It was up here in Sacramento, day and a half affair. I want to tell you guys real quickly what we went over. Go to the next slide, please. This is a list of the items. Now, I have put supporting material in that item on the board report for everybody to see. So everything that's on there, you can also see there. A couple of things I want to point out. First of all, the state initiatives and the CSBA-sponsored bills, there is a movement to change some of the things about Prop 13. One of the things that is real big is on the commercial side of it. On the commercial side, the reason that there's a change on that is because, as it turns out, a lot of commercial property, these things are reappraised when they change hands, right? That's the only time they're reappraised. But the commercial property doesn't hardly ever change hands because it's owned by one entity and then it's leased. As businesses come and go, it's leased to them. But the ownership never changes, so the value of it is never changes. So it looks like we're lacking a lot of funds on that. So CSBA is behind the push on that. There was also a discussion on the impact of the legalization of marijuana. I asked Dr. Washer about that. Apparently we don't have a big issue with that here, an impact, but apparently some schools, some districts really do. So
We have an issue with it, it just isn't changing because of the
right.
new law.
No, and I made that clear too. Yeah. We've always had an issue. The issue hasn't changed a great deal, but apparently in some places it really has. So, but we're not going to go into that. Made budget revised. We talked about that and what's going on with that. So I'm not going to go into that. Immigration policy. A couple of things where California is going head to head with the feds on this, and the things that we talked about our immigration. Our policy here, there are bills in the state legislature that support that and actually go further. So we need to keep an eye on that, and I put a copy of those in this file. All right, next one down, immigration policy updates, they're all in there. Discussion topic 2 was really interesting. That was one of the, that was on day 2. We talked about school safety, and of course, everybody is geared toward this. And one of the things that came out, we've asked CSBA to furnish a list of references for us to use on the website for this. And they're going to do that. But they also talked about, I found this fascinating, the difference between
safety and security, because there is a difference. When some people talk about school safety, they're thinking things like cracks in sidewalks and mold and all that kind of stuff, which is safety. But there's a difference when you're talking about school security. You're talking, fences, you're talking drills and that kind of thing. So yes, they're both incredibly important, but they're not the same thing. And we probably need to look at that a little bit differently as well.
When you said you asked for a list of resources for what, when you were talking about safety?
For some of the practices that, the safety practices that are being used. As an example, one of the things that's come up is fire drills. Because the last couple of school shootings, they pulled the fire drill. So so what are you doing? You pull a fire drill, fire alarm goes off, everybody runs out. All right. So
unprotected.
Now we're looking at different ways in order to do a fire drill. You verify before you leave the room, right? And in most cases, I mean, if there's a fire that is, if you're in imminent danger from a fire, you're going to know it. So that's something. So there's going to be some research, as well as ways that people do drills on other things, safety plans, that kind of stuff. Full and fair funding. This is the most interesting. Full and fair funding is a concept that CSBA is pushing. It is on the website. I would suggest you go to csba.org/FFF is one way you can do it, or full and fair funding is another way. The full and fair funding idea is centered around pushing the legislature to fund California schools at the national average by, it says 2020, it'll probably actually be pushed back a little bit. I'll tell you why in just a second. And then 5 years later, to fund our schools at the average of the top 10 schools in the nation, at the average, okay? The way that they're going to do this is really interesting. We've got the concept out there. Look at the website. There are all kinds of things on there that we should be talking about. All kinds of statistics on there about how poorly we're funded, about our class size issues, about all of that is on there. It's things that you can talk about. CSBA is in the process right now of hiring grassroots organizers that are going to be placed throughout the areas. We are in District 8. We have not gotten ours yet, but they are in place in Southern California or some over in the Bay Area. What the idea of that is to help us organize a grassroots movement to get that on a ballot initiative, and then to get that ballot initiative passed. So the idea is that we educate the public on on the problems with California funding, because reports show that most of the public think that we're very well funded. They have no idea how we're funded in relationship to the other states. And by the way, it is 41st. We're 41st in the nation in per pupil funding in California. And that's just ridiculous. We're 45 in class size. There's all kinds of ways. We are not doing what we should do. And so that's what that's about. I would really appreciate if you guys would check out that full and fair funding on the website. Okay, and that's all I got. Any questions for me about the agenda? About that, what happened? I did get to see the end of the bike race too that day. It was right up front of the place.
Amgen, you said?
Yeah, the Amgen. Yeah, that was great. Okay. No questions? Any comments from the public? Questions from the public? Seeing none. Next item. All right. Let's talk personal finance real quick. All right. I want more discussion about making personal finance a graduation requirement. Now, before we even get into this, I want to say that I am looking for ways of reducing the impact on our kids about this. There are several different ways that this graduation requirement could be fulfilled. It It could be fulfilled online and many others, so that's what we're going to talk about. But the bottom line is, our kids need it. Next slide, please. You can take a look at that. Personal finance is like way more complicated now than it was in the past. And I'll tell you what, when I graduated from high school, I had no idea what was going on with personal finances, like many kids don't. You know, I had to be taught how to write a check and all that. Last night at the Got Kids meeting, Steve Eady was saying, you know, it is a shame that our kids are leaving high school without knowing how to write a check. That's just ridiculous. The consequences of being financially illiterate can impact our students for a lifetime, and they absolutely can. Some of the moves that our kids will make will drive them into bankruptcy. Bankruptcy now stays on your record for 10 years. That's a long time. There are new and sophisticated predatory lending practices that are absolutely legal and can be financially devastating. We don't want our kids, the first time they hear about credit cards, to come from a credit card company. Because that is just the worst thing happening. Used to, guys, when you got a credit card, you all remember your first credit card, you had to prove yourself. You had to prove how much money you made. Now, you get a letter, you sign up, got that credit card. Got a $1,000 spending limit. People look at that and say, hey, I got $1,000 now.
George, when I graduated from college, I automatically got a credit card.
Did you?
Yes, and that's many moons ago.
Many moons ago. Well, and
sometimes they didn't have credit cards in my day.
Is that right? Yeah. Well, you were in barter trade, right?
And
Women could not get them at all.
At all, yeah, unless your husband signs off on it.
Now you can
So,
buy a
boy,
car.
times have changed, yeah. Now you're equally at risk on this. The goal of K-12 education should be to prepare students for life after high school. That's our job, no matter what that life is going to be. It's our job to prepare them, and being financially literate is part of it. And finally, guys, we owe it to our kids. If we're going to do something, this is the way that we can help them. I put in on the agenda, there's a booklet in there from the Center for Financial Literacy, and they rated the different states. California, 36 states got a C or better. California got an F. There is talk about legislation to make it a mandatory requirement for high school graduation, like 36 other states have got. So we may get there eventually. Requiring personal finance classes a graduation requirement is within the authority of us. We can do it. The 7 of us sitting right here can say, yes, we want this to happen. California has been considering it, like I said, a personal finance requirement. And in 2012, and that's not a typo, that's a program of international student assessment, added financial literacy to the list of topics that are tested. So it's a global thing. It's not just here. These are the 4 aspects I want the kids to learn about. The basics of personal finance: earning, spending, saving, and borrowing. Everything else falls into those 4 categories. We talk about investments. Under savings, we talk about investments and savings. What's the difference? We talk about borrowing, so that hopefully our kids don't go down to that payday lender and borrow money there, or put up their car title that their parents gave them for graduation or whatever. We talk about spending. One of the big things there, I used to teach personal finance, so that's why I'm really big on this. I saw the kids, they love this class. This is something they know they can use. We talked about spending. I taught the book, The Millionaire Next Door. Fantastic book. Fantastic. Chapter 1 in that thing talks about it. It talks about the old guy with the old Ford, right? He's a millionaire. They said, well, why are people driving nice cars? That's because they want to be a millionaire, right? Instead of spending the money on something that appreciates, you spend it on things that are investments. And then earning, boy, when I went through taxes with them, I showed them how to fill out a W-4 form, and then I showed them the taxes. And then some of them were getting jobs at McDonald's. They couldn't believe how little money was left over after their check. So, personal finance class would cover all this. Next slide, please. All right, this is the way that I see this thing. First of all, we have some courses that already
fit that requirement. We just approved a consumer finance course. Oh gosh, I forgot to bring the email. I got an email from a Bear Creek teacher that they do life something.
Management.
No.
Life management?
No, Carol Von Berg, she gave me
Yeah.
permission to use her name.
Right.
She used to teach family living, she's retired now.
Yeah.
And she wove financial literacy into that class.
Right.
Yes.
So we have some ways that it's out there, and I'm not saying that we change those, we keep all of those, okay? And then those are the checkoff for that requirement. But what about all the other kids that aren't getting it? Well, then we find other ways of doing it. It could be a standalone class offered, just like we've got consumer finance. You know, we put that out at other schools as well. Is that at all 4 schools now, or just Lodi?
It's just starting at Lodi, we'll be
Okay.
at all 4 schools next year.
See, there we go. So we've got a way. So they could do that if they wanted. That would be a way of doing it. We could build it within another program, such as life management or whatever. We can build that part into there as long as the items are covered. And our curriculum department tells us which one of those programs has fulfilled that requirement. You know, we could do a shorter, more intense course offered during our breaks, either during the summer or during the 2-week break, or either of the 2-week breaks. We can do that. And finally, we can make it really easy and do an online offering. Now, I did not bring all of the information on this, but if you want to look at it, look at financial literacy online. Google it. It's free. There are so many free resources out there. You work with Jumpstart, right? They've got a whole list of free things. There is so much that we could take advantage of for free. We don't need another textbook. Okay, so how are we going to do this? Just do it. That's what we know. That's a catchy little saying. Somebody ought to pick up on that one.
Well, are you ready?
No, not yet, not yet. There are myriad of resources currently available, including complete programs. Year 1, we make this available and recommended, but not mandatory. Year 2, we make it mandatory for graduation, but you know, we can give liberally exceptions, waivers, and that kind of thing to people who don't meet it. All right? And then these are the potential problems. Next slide. Paralysis by analysis. We can analyze this thing to death. We can take years to look at this and find out how to make it happen. But guys, it's already being done out there. It's being done. It's mandatory in 36 states. There are all kinds of leads for us out there that we can take this and we can make it happen. Fear of change and just indecision. I can see one of the problems. Well, which program are we going to choose? Well, we got to ask this person what we're going to choose. We got to ask this. No. Choose a program and go with it. If we want to change it later, let's change it. You know. But we can put somebody in charge of this. We have a new Don's replacement coming on. Jeff, put him in charge of that. Or we show him where the bathroom is and stuff like that. Oh, by the way, get personal finance made.
Here's your key.
Yeah. All right. And you know, as my friend and colleague Ron Heverly says, every year we wait to implement something like this. There's another whole set of kids that are leaving without the advantage of this instruction, and I truly believe that. Investment, next slide. Minimal, ample materials. Major expense is going to be teacher time for presentation when we do a class. And I'll tell you what, I think teachers are going to love this too, because it is a fun class to teach. You talk about student involvement, they love it. And we can even search for sponsors to help us support this. And I'll bet they're out there in our business community that would do it. Next step for us, give the superintendent direction to pursue establishing a course in personal finance as a graduation requirement, and return to the board with a concept for implementation as either a report or action item. Darrell, what you got, buddy?
Well, the one thing that I'm thinking, if you want to get it in now and do it easily and make it a requirement for graduation, the easiest way, in my mind, in secondary, is to place it as part of the economics requirement in the senior level. Economics is the same basic area. You've given the information, you haven't impacted any other area except that class. And every senior gets it that way for graduation. And you've met the requirement for graduation.
I just want to add, the new framework does call for a change in the high school economics class. I don't remember if it's 11th or 12th grade, that does include a piece of financial literacy. Not a large component, but it will have more than what it did before.
That's great. We need to make sure that all 4 of those areas are covered. And I can't see it being a small part. It takes a few weeks to do this.
Takes a little longer, George. I think, you know, I took bookkeeping. That's why I'm a millionaire now. Bookkeeping in high school.
Yeah.
You know, you had debits and credits and all that, how to invest and all that. Well, I got investments all over the world now. So that's good.
That's great.
I agree with that. Now, what we have to do is get this curriculum committee and get the ball moving right away. It could be like what Daryl says in the economic class. It could be a class that, like you said, mentioned there, to start out with actually an elective, and then get it in there for a year or so, and then come back and then put it in as a requirement. That's the way I feel.
I think that's a great idea. I'd like to see the online part. I think what we have to do is we have to meet the needs of as many students as we can. We got to give them as many ways to fulfill the requirement as possible. Anybody else?
Thank you, okay?
One thing I would not do is have this be taught as, make it a requirement through the math department. I don't think it should be a math class. I don't think it should be taught by math teachers. I think we have a hard enough time finding math teachers now.
That's a good point.
So, you know, that's just going to make it even more difficult.
Right.
And my 37 years of experience teaching these types of classes tells me that this is not a freshman sophomore class.
Right.
It needs to be an upper division class because freshman sophomore I was going to say something. They don't care about that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's too far away for them.
It is.
Right.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
been
mom
against the
give
wall
me
a
money.
lot.
Mom, Dad,
Yeah.
give me money.
So that's
That's my
things
question.
I think you need to keep in mind. You can make this type of class as difficult or as easy as you want to make it.
It covers as much as you can on that. You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of coverage. It's like, wow.
If you want to make it difficult, having it online might be not the smartest way to do it. I'm a big believer in that instructor there.
It's only a question if you want to make it a graduation requirement.
Yeah.
If you do the easiest way, is what I've said.
Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Put it in there.
As long as it's adequate.
The required economics, right?
Let me check your
Just
post.
Okay. Well, that's something the superintendent could come back
Sure.
and talk to us about.
You bet.
That's exactly where I was going to go is, it sounds like there are bits and pieces out there, okay? And instead of trying to reinvent the wheel,
Yes.
we should find out, okay, if we have bits and pieces, how can we enhance those? Or how would this dovetail into what we've got going? Because I'm going to tell you, when your kids hit 18 years old, they're going to get a flood of cards being mailed to them with their name on it.
No doubt
Every
about it.
one of my 4 kids got multiple credit cards. And I'll never forget when Susan and I got married, she had a Sears card. I was a firefighter for 2 years and I got denied being on her card.
Well, your credit was dangerous.
They knew.
You're gonna get hurt. Get paid back. They
You know?
give you credit.
And so, you know, it's a new day, they get cards or nothing. So it is very important for them to have that. But I just want to, I'm like Daryl, is, you know, we have to be thoughtful about making it a requirement, obviously phase it in, and I'd like to know what the options are. Are we already kind of doing it? And if the state's going to come up with something, well, what's that? It's not a big mystery, it needs to be done. I don't want to wait forever, like you said.
Yes.
But I think information is power.
That's a good point. Is there something in the works with the state coming down with some kind of requirement?
If they do, it's going to take years to
Okay,
get
so
that.
not
A bill was recently defeated
last year.
Does she have the class now?
Well, she does have a financial.
We
We do,
have
it's
financial
elective.
classes. My point is the reason we make this a requirement is because everybody needs it. And then you make it a requirement that's easy to fulfill. Now, as far as, I want to just say, it's not bits and pieces that are out there. It's entire curriculums.
Oh, no,
Several.
no, I'm saying we have.
Oh, we have this, gotcha,
Yes,
okay,
yes.
got it. See, I'm just saying extract Julie's class and put it in
Okay,
economics.
let's go.
Because
Okay.
right there,
We agree.
see those three standing up that did the presentation?
Yeah.
They've got a lot of information right there.
Yeah,
Okay,
and Dr. Washington.
We're on it.
all right.
All right, can I get,
10 minutes past the time.
Really fast,
Oh.
the teachers that used to teach in family living, that message from Carol Lundberg, they always thought it should be a graduation requirement.
Of course.
And there is, we do have existing curriculums in Lodi Unified, but yeah, I think 1/4 length of class and
Yes.
online, because there's so many kids that already have trouble fitting everything.
exactly,
in.
yeah, okay. All right, so, new support, okay, I forgot 4 votes?
You got it.
Yeah, okay, all right.
I'd like to
Dr.
have
Washer?
one share kind of.
We're on it.
You got it, okay, all right, and then that's it for right now. Board members, I want to see you back over there if you can real quick. And motion adjourned,
So moved.
all in favor?
Aye.
Closed. I'm sorry, I didn't allow for any public comment on that. It's a board discussion item. There'll be lots of time for comment before anything happens.